Good morning, everybody. One of my subscribers on YouTube asked if I would do a review of my CanAm Maverick XRC, and I thought I would try to do that this morning. We just got back from Colorado. We bought this in January, so it's about 8 months since we've been riding the XRC. And the bottom line is, I will tell you right up front, we absolutely love this machine. It's pretty dirty right now. We rode in the high country of Colorado for about 2.5 weeks, and then stopped in Arizona and rode up on the Mogollon Rim for a week or so up there. Our property here is right next to a major street, and so you're going to get a lot of road noise probably during this review. We've owned the XRC since January. We've put about 1,000 miles on it during that period of time. I know that's not a whole lot of miles, but that's the best that we could do with the time that's available. I will tell you right up front that I have absolutely had zero issues with the XRC that were of the XRC's making. When I was in Colorado this year, I did have one problem. I went out in early morning, about 6 o'clock in the morning. It had been 23 degrees that night. I went out and started the rig up and was going to attempt to load it into my toy hauler, and it just quit on me. It stopped running and it wouldn't start. And so I was starting to get a little bit concerned about it, and I got it started again, and it was struggling to continue to run and so on, so I just let it sit. And I got to thinking about it. You know, you have to let these things warm up before you move them. And what I had done was go out on a very cold day, start the thing up, put it in gear, and attempt to drive off with it, and you can't do that. The computer management system wants the engine to be warmed up before you do much with them. And as a result, I changed my MO, and I make sure to warm the thing up, especially on a cold morning, before I put it in gear and try to go anywhere. So it gives the belt and the clutches and everything a chance to warm up. And so the problem was not the XRC, it was the XRC's operator on that issue. Beyond that, this thing has been absolutely seamless. It always starts, and I absolutely love where we can go with it. On the trails that we ride, it has marvelous ground clearance. It has marvelous wheel travel. I have taken off the front sway bar and run it that way a little bit, and decided that I kind of liked it connected. So I've connected it back up, and we continue to use it pretty much as is. It has Fox Podium 2.5 shocks, and I typically run those shocks on the second setting, which is moderate, halfway between soft and hard. And on occasion, if we get into real rocky terrain and get going pretty slow, I'll put them on the softest setting, but normally I'll just leave them on the moderate setting. Probably want to talk a little bit about some of the options that the unit came with. First and foremost is that winch. I will tell you that we are both over 70 years old, and so it's important to us to have everything that we need from a recovery standpoint. So you'll see I've got a shovel up on top. We always carry rain gear because it also will double up and help us stay warm. We keep a couple of camp chairs on this upper rack as well, and a fully functional, full-size spare tire. Down below that is the trunk, which came as an accessory that I had the dealer install when we purchased this, and I will tell you that I just absolutely love this trunk. I've done a review on it on my YouTube site. You can see it there. That trunk is packed full of recovery equipment. I carry a 50-foot, 25,000-pound tow rope, 2 tow straps, spare winch cable, replacement winch cable. I've also got some metal wire winch cable that I can use as an extension to give me more reach. And I've got a replacement cable, nylon rope cable for the winch itself. 2 or 3 shiv blocks in there so that I can change the direction of the winch pull if I want to. A couple of tree straps and an air compressor to air the tires up and down. First aid kit, safety kit, lunchbox, and a complete, fairly extensive selection of tools. And the reason that I do that is because at my age, at 71, we're concerned about being stranded and turning what could be a fun afternoon ride into a critical survival situation. So it's important to us to be prepared for as many contingencies as we can. I've got a hydraulic jack in there as well to change the tire with if I can't use the winch to lift it up on a tree or something. So we hope that we're as prepared as we can be for survival situations, and I would consider success to be the fact that I never had to use any of that equipment, that it sat in the rig unused for all the years that we ride it. So that's just kind of a general philosophy that we have. We typically ride by ourselves alone, and as a result I tend to slow down a little bit when I get into real rough country. The idea there is I'm going to save my tires so that I can get out, and if I have other people that I'm riding with, then I'll go crazy like everybody else. But when I'm by myself, I tend to slow down a little bit and just take it easy, try not to tear anything up on the rig. I'm still not very selective about where I go. I'll take this thing just about anywhere, but I probably won't go real fast when I do it if I'm by myself. As you can see, as I've been walking around here, some of the accessories that we added were the door bags, which are very convenient storage for the things that you might need out on the road. There's a nice trunk glove box here and a smaller one over on the driver's side that you can add things. We also added the upper storage bags on top, and again, those are very handy for things that you might need while you're out on the trail and you don't want to have to stop. We put the center bag in between the seats, and it's pretty easy and convenient to get to as well. I use that primarily for camera equipment. I carry a couple of GoPro cameras and a Karma grip for one of the cameras, and a 35mm camera, and so I put most of my camera gear up there where I try to keep it dry and out of the weather. We also added this back cargo net, and I'm really glad that we did, because if you look up on the top here, there's kind of a convenient storage area where you can throw jackets and other light materials and not have to worry about tying them down, and they'll ride in between that cargo net and the spare tire just fine. Recent trip to Colorado, we found a motorcyclist that had gone down, and he was carrying too much weight, needed some help getting up to the top of the hill. So we loaded all of his gear up on the top of that rack there so that he could take his lightened motorcycle up to the top of California Pass. Worked out real nice. So, bottom line is that we love the trunk. We love the flip-up spare tire carrier. The tires have been seamless on this thing. The shock absorbers work as expected. It always starts, it always runs, and I can't tell you how pleased I am, having owned a Razor 800, high output 800 prior to this. I will tell you that there's no comparison in these machines. This XRC will just go just about anywhere. I'd like to point out that the approach angle, I don't want to put bumpers on this thing beyond what's there, because The approach angle right now is just about 90 degrees. It's just about 100% approach. That is, if I can drive up to a wall, the tires will hit the wall first. And that comes in real handy if you've got a 2 or 3 foot rock wall that you've got to climb. You can run right up to it, bump it with the tires, and go right on up. The same thing is true for the departure angle. The departure angle I've kind of destroyed a little bit with the trailer hitch there. But typically I have not hit that thing yet on anything, and the only thing that really destroys the departure angle is that spare tire that sticks out, as you will see, beyond where the back tires are. So again, that kind of destroys the departure angle. Maybe from 90 degrees to more like 80 degrees, maybe 75 degrees. But I figure that's 5 feet off of the ground, and if I'm driving off of a 5-foot ledge, I'm probably not going to be worried about hitting that spare tire. I'm going to have other things that I'll be concerned about. So the departure angle and approach angles on this machine are just absolutely make me feel ecstatic. The belt drive is easy access. I've done a review on that and changed that already. I have a spare and all the tools necessary in my trunk to replace all those tools. I love having the light bar. I have a review of that on my site as well. And it's absolutely mandatory if you're going to ride at night. In my mind, for my old 70-year-old eyes, it's mandatory to have extra lighting on. I'm contemplating putting some turn signals on. Arizona is one of the states where I can drive this. It's street legal on any road in Arizona, and there are times when I'm out with the traffic that I kind of wish that I had access to turn signals, especially at night. Using hand signals is not the safest thing, so I'm contemplating maybe putting a set of turn signals on this thing as well. One of the things I love about this unit is the dash. As you can see, it's got a fully digital dash. I don't know whether it'll show up in but the dash is configurable, so you can. I typically run mile per hour at the top and engine temperature down here. There is an engine temperature gauge over on the right side that's digital, and then there's a fuel gauge on the left side. But you can, within reason, you can configure the dash to display the information that's important to you. Light switches, winch switches. I installed an auxiliary winch switch with a 15-foot cable on it that's in my glove box there, so that I can actually get out of the rig and control the winch if I would choose to do it that way. Then there's other switches associated with the operation, and my light bar down below there. It's got a horn on it. It has a street legal kit on it that I had the dealer do when we purchased it. One other thing, an interior light. This is a marvelous interior light that is a CanAm option, and we absolutely love it. I also had them put the lights on the very back of the roof, and that makes it easier for people to follow. And I love the roof itself. It's really been loud. I mount my cell phone on a temporary mount here so that I can use a mapping program. I'm using, I don't remember the name of it now, but it's a free mapping system that's available that's geo-referenced. You don't need to have cell service for it to work. One of my other subscribers has talked about installing fender flare extensions on his unit, and I like the looks of those. I'm going to take a look at that and consider that, because this thing does throw a lot of mud and rocks, and the DW is kind of constantly grumbling at me about the amount of mud that she has to put up with. So but you know how DWs are. So she still loves going. She loves being with this thing, and so we're just having a great time. All right, so that's probably more information than you really wanted or needed. I will tell you, I love the CanAm Maverick XRC. This is a 2019 model that we bought brand new, and I'll tell you what, I would not sell this thing if you offered me full price for what I paid for it. I would not sell this rig. This is as I'm in my retirement days now. This thing is going to last me until I'm done with the side-by-side, at which point I bet you it will still be hold a lot of its value. So if you can afford to buy one of these, they are a little bit more pricey, but I tell you what, that 1000R engine, like one of the other users, I tend to stay in eco mode, not to save fuel, and not because I want to go slower. It'll go just about as fast in eco mode. The difference is that the engine management system smooths out the travel. So when you're bouncing around, your right foot's bouncing and you're up and down on the throttle and so on, the eco mode actually smooths out the throttle response quite a bit. And so I tend to use that, especially when we're in rough country. If I get out on a big dirt road where I want to go fast, I'll put it in sport mode and stick the hammer down, and we'll just get on with it at that point. But I tend to be pretty heavy user of eco mode. So I think that's about everything that I can think of. Love the winch, love the suspension, love the tires, love the rig. Man, this is the Gonga side-by-side, and I hope this will be helpful to somebody. Thank you much. See you again down the road.